Hey everyone, it's Allison in my violin studio, and today we're doing a Gavotte by Thomas, and this is from the opera Mignon, and this is the practice clip. So this is the I will talk lots, and you'll hopefully sort out the bits that you're confused with. This is Suzuki book 2. Okay. There's a lot in this piece. So I'm going to try and be fairly quick. First, style. This Gavotte typically is a Baroque dance, and kind of the rules for Baroque performance apply. This Gavotte was written in the late 1800s. I think the opera is dated 1866. So it's a Gavotte, simply meaning it's a dance with style and character. This starts with, I want you to notice that the first two notes come before the main beat. This is probably typical of Gavotte, but you know, rules are made to be broken. Anyway, so you don't start this. It's boom, boom. There's your beat. So you've got not one, but kind of two pickups. You've got a half bar of a pickup. So the first part we have is this little eighth notes with dots. Pay attention, there's dots on notes and there's dots behind notes. The dots behind notes are rhythm. The dots on the top of the notes are beneath, depending which angle. That's articulation. So these are articulation dots. So we're talking stop bows, big ones, big crunchy stop bows. So just a little burst of a note with a big fat stop bow. Change your string levels. Bow first, arm, place finger. Change. Okay. The duration of your little burst of note plus the duration of the stop bow should add up to your whole eighth note value. There's a lot of circles. Every time that your next phrase or half phrase starts on a down bow, you're going to have to retake the bow. And retaking the bow in good form means make a circle of it, because you want to be really efficient. You don't want to do extraneous things that take time. So the end of one note must become the beginning of the next note, so that you have only one gesture. It's musical and it's rhythmic. Yeah. This is legato. Not terribly difficult. Keep your bow strokes small. Pay attention to your intonation here. I personally find the intonation in this piece really tricky. It's G major, and then we have this minor section, and I don't know why. Gotta get the G's nice and low. But in this little passage, we keep repeating the same note. Like there's a C, there's a C again, and there's that C again. So if your finger moves a little bit, it sounds nasty. Be careful. The other thing is make sure your second finger is low. Right, in violin we've got whole tones and we've got half tones. And basically you've got a squish or a stretch, right? And occasionally you get an augmented and that's a huge stretch. But if it's a squish, make sure that unless you have really skinny fingers, your fingers should be touching each other when it's a half tone interval. Long note, there's a line on it. However, now, you could make the argument for just playing a note, stopping, and keep going. But I prefer to put a circle in there. I probably either's fine. I like doing the circle because it gives you a little bit of energy and it gives you some springiness to the playing. Now this thing is actually a trill that's been written out. It's not a big trill. A mordant is when you have one turn. A trill typically would have three, but this one we've got two on it. So let your second finger drop, and then snatch it back, let it drop, and snatch it back. The second time you snatch it back, stop your bow, and then play the E. And you're done. The way I like to think about this, and if you have a way that works better for you, that's fine. I like to think of pulling, especially when it's your second finger, you know that we don't lift the fingers off the violin by straightening them upwards. The idea is you keep your fingers, it's like the hammers on a piano. They don't change shape, because if they started changing shape, then some of them would arrive sooner and some of them would arrive later. So you want to kind of keep your fingers curved all the time. So when you lift the finger, you just pull it back. So in its curved form, it has been pulled away from the string. And then you let it drop. So you don't want to straighten and then have to recurve, because that actually takes a lot of time. And when you're doing quick passages, just not going to happen. So keep your fingers just kind of all curved and pretty available, not too far away from the string. Don't let your fourth finger go underneath. Just kind of keep everything up here hovering. But you might think, okay, snap it back a little bit, and then it'll drop by itself with a bit of a smack onto the string, if you're lucky. And that may come with time. Third finger, you can pull it back and let it drop. Okay, so that's kind of what we're doing on this trill here. So we've got the one down. Just for the sake of practicing, imagine you're pulling your second finger back. It's still curved, and then let it go. Smack. Just pull it off and smack it down. And that's how you kind of get a hammered, precise sounding thing. It might come right away. It may really not come right away. So don't worry about it. Don't obsess. Just do your 2 turns. And go on. Stop both. These are short. But if you can hear the tuck, tuck, tuck of your finger hitting the fingerboard, it's a good sign. If you haven't got it, it's not an emergency. Okay, going on. So we have articulation dots on those notes, which means stop right after. Stop. Stop. Now this you could do 3 stretch. They've got a 4th finger on there. I don't like to play it with the 4th finger because your 4th finger is accustomed to playing an A on the D string. If it actually was an A flat, fine. I know that a G sharp is the same spot on the violin as an A flat would be, but in my mind, they're 2 different things, and my finger and my mind are going to get into a little battle here. So I personally would rather do it with a 3. But do what your teacher says. Okay, then we got a train tracks. Do a circle. Okay. In tune's good. That's the same as before. This is the same. Okay, this is new. I mean, stop. Stop. So in the middle there, stop. You have actually 3 notes that you play legato, because then your stop bow comes after you've played that next 8th note. Stop. Stop. Long note, but maybe not too long because you need to do a circle, right? That we kind of get away with, you know, we don't always play the full value of a note that's written, and one of the ways we can get away with it is if you are producing a good sound and you're getting a ring from the instrument, the note will be heard for the full duration. If you're somehow stopping the sound so we're hearing a big gap, that's not good. But try and get use your fingers to focus. Make sure that your bow is slightly leaning a little bit towards the scroll, so that imagine you're playing on the one edge here, okay? In reality, they'll kind of squish down, right? But it will give you a more focused sound than if you're playing flat on all the hair, which will be a little more coarse sound. Yeah. And I forget why I was telling you that. So let's go on. Oh, because that will help you get the ring. A very focused sound. And then you can play with your bow speed a little bit to maximize the ring. Okay, going on. This is the same old, same old. Slur. Slur. Stop. Stop. Now, he actually wrote a 16th note in there. So it would be uncivil of us to play through it as if it was an 8th. So do a little. And then you've got a triplet here. Alien. Or chocolate. Long note. This one we don't do a circle on because it's just the bowing continues as it comes. But do make sure your bow stops on the string so you articulate cleanly the beginning of the next note. Again. That's quite a stretch between the 3 and the low 1. Make sure you've got it. Try not to. Don't lift up your fingers each time. You have to be lazy because you want to recycle, you know? So you get that stretch. Actually, if your finger is pretty arched, you can just leave the 3rd finger on the string. But if you want to lift it slightly, that's fine. But try to only lift it a couple of millimeters. 1. Okay, and every student I've ever had in my life, without exception, has gotten very confused and tried to economize by not playing all of these notes. This is the 2nd beat, 2. This is the 1st beat, 1, 2. Now you change the pattern. 1, 2, 1. There's a ritardando, slow down. There's also a decrescendo mark there, so you get to go very artistically. Oh, you can't remember. You know, and then a tempo, which means back to your original tempo, and it goes back to a mezzo forte. So you're kind of doing this dreamy, I'm getting lost in the mist thing, and 2, 1, and then back to reality. Okay, we've done all that. Then we go down to the... Okay, and this is the same. You put a little 16th note rest there, so use it to create character. We're in minor now. Low 2. Again, this is awkward. You've got a whole tone between 2 and 3. 4th finger's a squish. 1 is a squish. I always say squish when they're, they're close together. Low 1. Again, try not to lift up all your fingers. Try and keep them a millimeter over their spot. Up, down. So up, bite the string. Stop bow. Stop bow. Same thing. Okay, that's the same thing. Same thing as before. Okay, that's all the same. We've covered everything except at the very end. Last time. This is like the last line and a half. I know, my timing's all over the place. Up and up again. And why do we do that? Because we want to get to the frog, because we need to do a pizzicato now. I recommend that when you're doing these in early days, put your thumb on the corner of the fingerboard, okay? Not halfway down, and just the corner. And when you do your pits, place your index finger well over the fingerboard, okay? It's gonna sound terrible up here, where all the rosin is collected, and you're gonna end up with dirty fingers. It will sound... It sounds a little bit better down here. If you go too far, it gets faint. Okay. So, finger in the corner. Okay, so 3 notes. You can let go of the... you can do it this way, or you can let go and do it freehand, but just be careful where you... it always sounds better. Do not do. Okay? Because you're going to break your own eardrums. No. So rather than coming towards yourself in a C kind of a shape, imagine you're doing more of an arc from above. Also, if you can kind of go on the diagonal down there, that might work better than... Okay. All right, that's it. Have fun.